Foursome is back. I am back. I am back on your telly screens and computer monitors and mobile phones. No bug returns. Sorry about the intermittent little break there. A couple of weeks of me not being in front of this camera. But as you can see, I'm in my temporary corner at the moment. This is my brother's corner. My brother's gaming setup. PS4. Put my Wii U here. Sneakily sneak my Wii U in the bottom there. As you can see, rather a metal fan. Yes, it's a good gaming setup he's got here. Anyway, Friday Foursome. This was Friday Foursome 9 had a terrific response yet again. 19. Oh, and a burp as well, just for good measure. 19 entries for Friday Foursome 9 racing games. Your favourite racing games, ladies and gentlemen. So we had Acidonia 150. Retro Gaming Wales, welcome to the Friday Foursome. John Gage again. Console Snob Scott, my mate Scott, welcome to the Friday Foursome. First Foursome for him, I believe. Shock 16 back again. Ever Faithful JL76 and Kit 171. Always loving a foursome, them two. But that'd be a twosome, wouldn't it? The Synergy 1987. Gruss Newton, Swifto back again. All returning guys. Sulphur Retro Matt back again. Pete on a retro tip. Metropolis again. I think that maybe is that your second foursome or first foursome? Can't remember. Sorry. New entry. Bangkok Ian, 1967. Welcome, mate, to the Friday Foursome. Retro Gaming Addict. Really enjoying his work lately at the moment as well. Ellis Holly back again. I think that's second, third, or one he's done. Steve 36207. That was right. I got it right. It's because I was reading it right. Electric Adventures Tony, and another new entry, Atari Staff Room. 19 entries, fantastic. Lots of different racing games. Good to see that it wasn't completely flooded with Gran Turismo and Forza. I mean, it could have quite easily been. Everyone goes on about them games, and not a lot of Mario Kart as well, which is good because they were sort of the games I would have thought everyone would have picked. But we had a great range, retro, modern, in between, off the wall stuff. It was great. And the winners. I know you were waiting for the winners. Well, we have a joint top place for the 3 winners I picked this time. There's a joint top place with 5 votes each, and the first one is going back down to Oz. It's Tony, Electric Adventures. I believe it might be the second time he's got in the top 3. But here's his racing game choices.
Favourite racing games. So top 4, not in any particular order. I'm probably going to say that I'm going to probably start with my absolute favourite of all time is probably the Gran Turismo series. I own most of the games in the series and have followed it through. I don't actually have the latest one because I'm still playing, basically still playing 5 and getting enjoyment out of it. And you know, 6 came out and had all the issues with the DLC, so I just didn't bother at the time. I may get it at some stage. That might be a game that if I do see it in a special bin, I might pick it up one day. But I'm in no rush. But no, Gran Turismo, one of my absolute favourite series, and I mean probably my favourite one of it is actually number 5, the one I've enjoyed the most. And a similar vein, obviously a slightly different racing game, but still, I suppose Gran Turismo's competitor is the Ridge Racer series. I haven't played as many of the Ridge Racers games, but I played Ridge Racer before I played Gran Turismo, because obviously it goes all the way back to the arcades, and I remember that machine very well when I first played it. And although I didn't get to play it as much because it was always was more expensive than the other arcade games, so I had to weigh the choice lightly of having a game of that. And I can remember when I played in the actual arcades I could never get very far, but I always really enjoyed it. Much better than Daytona, which was basically simply going straight round tracks. Although Daytona is fun, I much prefer Ridge Racer as a racer. And probably my favourite version so far, although to be fair, I did pick up the Ridge Racer, I can't remember what number it is now, for the PS3, and I haven't actually played it yet, so is the R4, Ridge Racer 4 for the PS1, one of my favourite versions. And I still pop that in and play that when I'm having a gaming night and want to do a bit of racing in here. And my next pick, I'm going harking back to the olden days, is Pole Position, and probably more specifically Pole Position 2, although we had a Pole Position 1 machine, and I believe, I don't know whether there was a conversion kit or something like that, but most of the time I saw it after, like those initial periods of time in the arcade, it was a Pole Position 2 machine. And I've always loved that game, and played the versions of it on the Atari 2600. They're okay on that, and also on the Atari 8-bits as well. So just a great, enjoyable racing game. And even though they're not realistic racing games, they're fun, and my family as a whole has gotten a lot of fun of them, and that is Mario Kart as a series. Now, I've never actually played Mario Kart for the SNES. Don't shoot me down in flames. I started Mario Kart with the Nintendo 64, and we've had a Nintendo 64 and 4 controllers since Nintendo 64s came out. So, and to even recent times, until the Wii U took over with its Mario Kart, my daughters would have friends over, and they would put on the Nintendo 64 and play 4-player Mario Kart. But I dare say, since we've had the Wii U, that has taken over completely as far as the Mario Karting is concerned. Now, I have played some of the portable versions as well, so just Mario Kart, because I've got so much enjoyment out of the series as a whole, and I'm sure some other people will pick that one as well.
You see, I just said that it wasn't flooded with Gran Turismos, and Tony picks all the Gran Turismos. A little bit of a cheat there, Tone, but never mind, I'm going to let it slide. I'm also going to let slide that you said all the Mario Karts as well. What I'm not going to let slide, and I know you said don't shoot me down in flames, I'm going to shoot you down in flames. You haven't played Super Mario Kart? Man, you got to sort that out, and sort it out soon. That game, that was my pick, of course, for racing games. That's the genesis of Mario Kart. Go and play it, Tone. Go and play it. So I'm only joking, of course. Great choices. I mean, it expels the reason that both of those series would be picked, because they are pretty much fantastic. But he's got good retro choices in there as well. Ridge Racer Type 4. One of my favourite Ridge Racer games, I think. Type 4 was one of the one I played the most. And the old original on the Atari, Pole Position, Namco Classic, I think. The one that spawned the cartoon, Pole Position, which was featured on a previous video of mine, on my last Waffle video, I believe, or the one previous to that. Well, it was to do with Matt's cartoon intros, but yeah, that game was the one that actually was connected with the show. That's why it says Namco on the front. I think it's the same Pole Position. I'm sure it is. Can't think of another game called Pole Position that matches up with it. But anyway, that was Tony's response, and he is the winner of Friday Foursome number 9, alongside, drum roll, new entry, Bangkok Ian. Well done, my friend. 5 votes for you as well, sir. Yeah, and I'm just going to let Ian take you through his choices with his honourable mentions.
Now, this is incredibly difficult for me to whittle it down to 4, because I do like my racing games. Been playing them for 30 years, so I think the first one I played was that Night Driver arcade game, where you just had the black and white dots and you had to try and stay on the road. That was brilliant. Since I saw that, been hooked on racing games. Pole Position, oh, loads and loads of them through the years. And couldn't give you my top 4, but before that, there are some honourable mentions that I had to get out there first. Here we go. Firstly, we have F-Zero GX on the GameCube. Probably my favourite F-Zero game. I remember buying the original F-Zero. I had a US SNES when it first came out. I was a gobsmacked when I first saw the original F-Zero. Fantastic. I love the N64 version as well. But this blows it out of the water. Developed by Sega, by Nintendo, it still holds up today. You can put this on a PlayStation 4 and I'd buy it in a heartbeat. This is the Japanese version. Right. Secondly, I've always been a huge fan of this series. You'll find out when I go through my top 4. This is Ridge Racer 6 on the Xbox 360, one of the earlier games on the 360. Didn't get that good reviews, but I absolutely adored it. I love the driving mechanics in this game, and the smoothness of the graphics and the controls, fantastic. It's a really underrated game, much better than the initial PlayStation 3 Ridge Racer, which I just could not get into. There's something about it that I just didn't like. This was far better. Before the last of my also rants, this is Burnout Revenge on the Xbox 360. I've always been a big Burnout fan. Burnout 3 is probably my favourite. I played that on the Xbox, original Xbox, when that first came out, and I absolutely love that. But this is a close second. I couldn't get into the Paradise series. I just didn't like the open world aspect. So, but this was very good. Right, let's get on to my top 4 racing games today. As I said, probably change tomorrow, but here are the ones at the moment that I remember the best. First one is Stunt Car Racer for the Commodore Amiga. Late 80s, is it 89, 90, something like that. Fantastic game. It's you versus AI opponent, or if you had a serial cable and 2 Amigas, you could link the 2 together and play head to head. There's no split screen. This is early days, early age of 16-bit computing, and this is a fantastic game. You're like racing on top of roller coasters, and you've got the loops and insane jumps. It just screams playability, and for the time the graphics were like jaw-dropping. Excellent controls. And also it was by Jeffrey Crammond, probably one of my favourite game programmers from the old days of the BBC. He did some of my favourite games on the BBC. He did Aviator, Revs, and he also did Sentinel, and that was all classic games, excellent games. Number 2 will be Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64. I've always been a huge Rare fan, and I've been really enjoying the Rare replay on the Xbox One. Some absolute classics. I've even been playing the old Attic Attack and Saberwolf and what was it called? Alien 8 and Night Law, all those, the ones that were on the Spectrum. I played them on the BBC. But yeah, fantastic collection. And Diddy Kong Racing, of course, they couldn't include it because it had, you know, Nintendo Donkey Kong, of course, so there's no way Nintendo would let them get away with it. But fantastic game. I rate it more than Mario Kart on the N64, purely because when it came out in the late 90s, I was working, and I was out of school, so I had no schoolmates to come back and play it, the split screen version of Mario Kart, so I went mainly for single player games, and the single player adventure on Diddy Kong Racing is absolutely brilliant. There's so much variety of cars, planes, boats, and the tracks and the opponents. Fantastic game. I put hours and hours into that game, and I wish Nintendo would re-release it on the Virtual Console. That would be fantastic. Okay, brilliant game. Number 3 is it's a Ridge Racer game. Rage Racer on the PSX. As I said earlier, I've always been a huge fan of the Ridge Racer series. That's the main reason I bought the PSX when it first came out. I got a Japanese import just so I could play Ridge Racer. I remember the first time I played it, my jaw just dropped on the floor. It was that good. But of course, it only had the one track basically, and but at the time it was fantastic. Probably one of the best arcade 3D ports ever. But my favourite Ridge Racer game is Rage Racer, because it's a bit darker and it's a bit more, it's polished to a really nice sheen, and I just love how that controls. It was one of the early analog games on the PSX. Fantastic cars, fantastic tracks, And I like how you could every time you won the game, I think you got money, and you could either use that to buy new cars or upgrade your car. I think I stuck with basically the same car for most of the game, sorry, and fantastic game. By far my favourite Ridge Racer game. And let's see, my final choice would be Project Gotham 2 on the original Xbox. All four were great games, but I have to go for number 2 because that's the first time where the kudos system really clicked for me. And again, the amount of cars, the amount of tracks, the variety, and brilliant. And I love how the controls were not arcadey, but they weren't thin, they were in between, and that is the best Project Gotham for control wise for me. And absolutely brilliant game. I can remember racing through Moscow on that game. Fantastic game. Anyway, this has been my first video response. Sorry it's a bit wonky, I'm sure it is. Hope to do some more soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
So there you go. Ian was doing it right there and picking individual games on the series. There he's picked an individual Ridge Racer game, Rage Racer. Great game. Haven't played it more than enough that I should. I should have played that game much more, but I've never got the time. I really should get around to playing that game more because I do like it. And also PGR 2, Project Gotham Racing 2. Now, there's a story behind Project Gotham Racing with me because I actually got my original Xbox specifically to play Forza and Project Gotham Racing because not on anything else. So I'm double thumbs up for that choice because I have had a go at both Project Gotham 1 and 2, and yeah, they're really good racing games, quality solid racing games. And now the other old school choice that he had, Stunt Car Racer on the C64. Now this interesting choice, certainly. He likes it, which is great. I personally didn't like it so much on the Amstrad. I thought it was a bit slow and too difficult. I just found it too difficult on the Amstrad. Maybe the C64 version is better. I don't know. I've never played it. And finally, Diddy Kong Racing. So he chose Diddy Kong. Sorry, I'm just itching my toe there. Apologies. Diddy Kong Racing. He chose that over Mario Kart, which is great because it's a good game. It's a really good game. I haven't actually played it a lot. I think I played it probably twice in the past. But decent game and great choices all around for me. And well done on your first entry to the Foursome, your first foray into the Foursome, and you win. So finally, with 4 votes, sorry, it's Pete on a retro tip. And here are his 4 racing choices.
Hi guys, back with another Friday Foursome from Chris, Novabug, and this time it's top 4 racing games. Now, I've chopped and changed my mind several times during the last few days, and I had a short list of about 12 games, so it was really difficult this time choosing 4 games. I've tried to choose 4 that a couple of which I hope no one else would probably choose, and then a couple that quite a few people I'd imagine would. So I'll do the first 2 popular ones first, which is firstly Micro Machines. So on the Mega Drive, I've played it on several platforms, but the Mega Drive was the one I used to play the most. Love Micro Machines, all 3 of them. Didn't really play military much, but Micro Machines 2 and Turbo Tournament 96. Micro Machines 2 probably played the most, and 2 and 96 have the J cart with the extra 2 controller ports, so you can play 4-player. It's a great game. You pick up and play. It's quite easy, but it can be tricky multiplayer, and it's always competitive. It's always really good fun, and can be really frustrating as well. Just fantastic game, and it's one of those games that when you load it up, you can have name your character. And recently last time I picked one up, it must have been, I think it was Turbo Tournament 96. I picked it up about a year ago. And anyway, a few mates came around to play it, and we load it up, and it brings up the picture of the guy. I think it's Spider, the guy's like the Fonzie guy, and it just says cunt underneath as the name. And that just took me back to being a kid straight away, when you used to give your characters like rude names and think it was hilarious. But yeah, fantastic game. Second choice would be another one that I imagine is very popular. Now this was a toss-up between two, because I only wanted to put one rally game in. So it was a toss-up between Shocks on the PS2, which is a really underrated game. It's fantastic, like arcade kind of rally game, which I love. Those kind of arcade rally games like Sega Rally, absolutely adore. But my pick for the rally game is V-Rally on the PS1. Spent so much time playing that game, and I think my picks here, the way I narrowed down my list, is how much time did I spend, oh that's my phone going off, how much time did I spend playing these games and how much enjoyment did I get from these games. So V-Rally, yeah, was just fantastic. At the time it's, you know, you think, oh wow, these graphics are like so realistic, and you look at it now and it's shit, but really good fun game. Nice depth to it, and again one that you can pick up and play quite easily, but it's quite hard to master. So yeah, huge fan of that game. Third choice would be one that possibly not many people would pick, and that is Super Off-Road. So Ivan Stewart's Super Off-Road on the Amiga. Now I do have it on the arcade cab there. I don't have an Amiga version at the moment, but that game's awesome. I used to play that to death on the Amiga, and it's like you're going around a little track, and you at the end of each level you collect money during the levels. So at the end of each level you can buy like nitrous for boosts, you can upgrade your acceleration, your brakes and your tyres and all that jazz, and it's just fantastic fun, really good fun multiplayer. Love the music, love the graphics. It was really, really good graphically for the time, as many Amiga games were. So yeah, just spent a whole lot of time on that game. Really simple game. You can't really get any more simple. It's not. Sorry, camera memory was full there, so I had to clear some off. So yeah, it wasn't particularly a technical game, and it was so simple, but really good fun. And I'm not really into simulation type racing games. I like simpler arcade games. So for that very reason, that's why I love my next pick, and this is the most modern game on the list. And I don't really play games like Gran Turismo or even Forza or any kind of simulation-y type games. I like really arcadey races. So for that reason, this was my favourite racing game of the last generation. Played it a whole lot, and that is Blur on the PS3. Now Blur, if you haven't played it, is a racing game where it's realistic cars, like real racing cars, but with kind of Mario Kart-esque power-ups. So you're racing the cars as you would, but you have all sorts of cool power-ups, and it's amazing. It's so much fun, and one of the great aspects of this game is it has local multiplayer, which is essential for a racing game in my opinion. All the best racing games for me have a local multiplayer option, say 4-player split screen, and it just makes for really good fun, because you've got the people who are really good at the racing aspect of the game, and then you've also got the added power-ups and the tactics that brings. So it's fantastic. It's a really good fun game. You can pick it up really cheap. If you haven't played it, go and pick it up for the 360 or the PS3. It's made by Bizarre Creations, who are sadly no longer around, and they made games like Metropolis Street Racer and Project Gotham Racing, so you're probably quite familiar with them. So they're definitely you know, got a good CV as far as racing games go, so you're guaranteed that it's going to be a quality game. It is. It's absolutely fantastic, and so that's my last pick, guys. So yeah, cheers for watching. See ya.
So there's Pete there with his choices, and mind-blowingly retro for a young gentleman such as he is, which is great to see. great to see that the retro stuff passes to younger people and they experience it and they go back and they look, and I love that, because that's what should be doing. I mean, modern gaming is good and fine in its own way, but you can't beat the retro stuff. Not for me, anyway. Micro Machines, fantastic. Had the PlayStation version myself, version 3. I think it was called V3. But I did play the Mega Drive version as well, so good pick there. Great game that was. Good mic play. V-Rally. One of the games that I should have made an honourable mention of, because V-Rally was probably one of my favourite races on the PS1. Great physics, weird floaty moon physics in that game, and I've done a review of it for Pixel Empire, and yeah, brilliant game. And like Pete says, when you look at it now, you think, oh god, it's just terribly jaggy and poppy-uppy and glitchy, but at the back in the day, it was so far ahead of its time. You think when it came out, it was like, wow, what a game. And of course, it's associated with the Need for Speed franchise as well. I think in America, it's actually called V-Rally: The Need for Speed, or something along those lines. And Super Off-Road. I would have never thought that Pete would have chosen such an old school game like Super Off-Road. Irvin Iron Man Stewart's Super Off-Road, because I had the demo of that on the Amstrad, from the Amstrad Action cassette, and I remember thinking it's such a really quite a unique, decent game, isometric kind of racer, kind of a bit like Grand Prix, but on an angle, with the nitros, and it really looked good, and a nice little theme tune as well, so I could appreciate that game, certainly. And finally, Blur. I've never played Blur. I've always been interested in it, but never played it. It does certainly look an interesting concept because of its realism versus kart racer-ish kind of mechanics. And I think I'm gonna track that down and buy it on Pete's recommendation. So anyway, there are the responses, the winners for the Friday Foursome 9 racing games. Thank you very much, everyone, to make an entry again. Please, and I'm going to have to reiterate this, the voting turnout was a little bit low, so please, don't forget to vote. You can vote your own video up. You can do that. You're allowed to do that. There's nothing against the rules. Don't think it's like you're bashing against your ego or anything. When I post it on my Facebook, go onto my Facebook page, vote your own video up to get them views up, get them votes up. Every share is good, as they say. So all the links, as always, in the description box. Right, I'm going to get my breath now and go into a rant, because this is going to be a bit of a ranty one. Turn my page from my notes. Your 4 Friday Foursome 10. This is 10. 4 most irritating things, most irritating aspects about the video game industry. These can be anything associated with the video game industry. They can be the developers, the publishers, the media, the reviewers, the systems, the hardware, the production, the games, anything you want. What really grinds your goat? What really makes you clench the arsehole? I don't know why I said that. I clenched the fist up the arsehole. But pisses you off about the gaming industry, and it's constant, sometimes comes in phases, comes in waves, as it were. And then there's lots of things to be pissed off about the gaming industry, especially for avid gamers such as ourselves, and there's such a lot of us. And there's a lot of things that annoy us in their own little ways. But I'm going to go for, firstly, I'm going to go for something that I think a lot of people can gel with, I think a lot of people can sort of sympathise with. In modern games, I really miss, for instance, Shadow of More... Oh no, it's not even open. Let's pick MLB 14 The Show on the PlayStation. It's the first game I picked up. Nothing. Alien Isolation? Nothing. No. Booklets. Guide booklets. Instruction booklets. I always thought they were a key part of retro gaming, especially on consoles. I used to love the booklets you get in the Super Nintendo, you get in the Mega Drive. The little, even though they're really crap, tiny little black and white things on the GX4000, I just love them little booklets. I really do. It's part of the game. It feels complete with that booklet, or leaflet, or instructions, or whatever you want to call it. But modern games just don't have that, because everything is online, and everything is online help, and there's online guides and built-in. It just loses its character. It loses its presence for me. I really want to have booklets back. I know it's saving money and all this kind of stuff, but the artwork, you used to get brilliant artwork on booklets that were like different from the cover art, and then artwork inside the booklet as well. Secret of Mana's booklet, for instance, had models that they'd done of the characters printed in the booklet. It was fantastic. Screenshots, of course, and everything about booklets I really like. And of course this includes the inlays to cassettes and discs on the 8-bit systems. They all had them. They all had these little stories and little fables and instruction guides and a little bit of hype about the game as well, which is another subject we're going to come on to. But I miss that. I really miss that, and that annoys me. It annoys me we don't have that nowadays with modern games. A few of them, very few of them do have a booklet, especially if you get a limited edition. But most, just like these, I mean, let's pick another one out. Last of Us. Nothing. I'd like a booklet with that. You know? I've screwed that pile up. He's going to kill me for that. Anyway, let's go on to my next pet peeve. Most irritating thing about the industry. Overhyped games. This does annoy me. When a company, or more specifically, a reputable, that's not even a word, is it? A well-known, famous website, or sites, plural, will hype a game up and give it so good preview ratings, and when it comes out, everyone's like, that was it. Most recently, Watch Dogs. Oh, and you could say Destiny as well. You know, it's massively overhyped by the publishers, massively overhyped by the developers, massively overhyped by the media. Preview reviews are like, yeah, this is the fucking best game ever, and you get it, and it's like, not really. Seen that before. Where's all this flashy stuff we've seen? You know, the trailers showed something that we never saw, and we don't get that. And where's this doesn't look as good as I thought it would look, or play as well as I thought it would look, and the overhypeness, the brown tonguing, it really gets. It's annoying. It's just annoying, and it's not needed. You know, promote a game, great, but don't make it out to be something that it's not. Because when we get it, when the consumer gets it, they're not stupid. They're smart, wise up pretty quickly. They'll play it and they go, that is not what we were told it was going to be. And that leads on neatly to my third irritating thing, and that's U-turns. And this is when a gaming publisher or developer or manufacturer will announce something in a spectacular way, say at E3, or do some massive press release with big website video promotion or something like that. This is coming there, and we're going to have this, and this is going to do this, and this is going to do this, and then a few months later it's like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Actually, we're not going to do that at all. And you get your hopes up, and you look at something like that, and you think, wow, this is going to be fantastic, and it's kind of associated with overhyping. But you think this is, and sometimes you even pre-order and you make plans and you think, oh, I'm going to get some game in time for that, and am I going to afford it? I'm going to save some money up to get that. Say, for instance, a system that's coming out and it doesn't. They U-turn and they cancel. PT, for instance, Silent Hills. That's the recent one that really grinds my goat, because that's the one I played PT and I thought, yeah, Silent Hills looks to be a really, really good game, and then Konami basically ditched themselves off a cliff in a very spectacular and public way and totally U-turn and cancel the game, and that was that. And it U-turns in any I mean, you can probably think of like load of examples, you guys out there, that do that, and it just annoys me, because don't make false promises. Don't say you're going to do this, say you're going to do that, and then don't do it or completely change it. That is just wrong on the gamers for me, and wrong on the people that buy this kit, because they're the people that are expecting this, and don't sort of dangle the banana and then take it away and turn it into an orange. You know, you can see. Anyway, finally, and I think a lot of people are going to know this one as well, and a lot of people might even mention this one. And this is more au fait with modern gaming than old school gaming and retro gaming. And that's broken releases. Come on, we've been, what, 30, 40 years into gaming now. It's got to the point where we're releasing games, they're so under deadline. We used to have this back in the 80s. They were under deadlines and they had to get games out, and a lot of them weren't much cop. The rushed ones, or for instance, and a good example would be R-Type on the CPC. It was rushed out and it was just a Spectrum port, and it didn't utilise the Amstrad's capabilities. Now fine, but what it was a workable game. You can play it, and it wasn't broken. It was not great. You could clearly see it was rushed, but it wasn't broken. And nowadays we're getting broken games released left, right and centre, again coupled with again the overhype. And when it's released, people are just so fuming that it just doesn't work, and there's glitches all over it, and they've got to do patch after patch after patch, and it's all like bloody patchwork fucking quill. And why is this happening now? They spend millions developing games, and hours and years sometimes developing games, but they still seem, especially in the modern era, they can't get the testing right. They don't test it enough. You've got to thoroughly test these things before you release them onto the public domain. And recently there's been so many. Mortal Kombat X, Batman Arkham Knight, Destiny, Battlefield 4. So many, with so many glitches, so many broken parts. And you think, these are the modern systems, these are modern games. They should have been ironed all this out before they were released. And they don't, and it just pisses me off that why aren't they taking more care over this? We buy it and we expect it to work. We don't buy a bloody car, switch it on, and then it conks out halfway down the road because it's tested and it's worked, and we buy it so it bloody works. New things work, but a lot of these modern games, Activision are especially fucking guilty of this, and it's just broke. It's not complete. Parts of it are missing. It's shocking. I mean, look at Sonic Rise of Lyric. Oh, Christ. I mean, terrible. Absolutely shocking. And they're not even going to patch it, are they? I'm not even sure they are. But it's just fucked. And how can you release a game like that, which is clearly unfinished, onto the public? It's just not good. Not good at all. And it's, the word is irritating. And that is the question to you guys out there for this Friday Foursome. Your 4 most irritating, annoying, piss you off arse aches that get to you, annoy you the most about the video game industry. And it can be anything related to video gaming, like I've said, across the board. Please have a rant. This is your rant foursome. Go for the rant. I love rant videos, and it's time I had a foursome that had a rant. So that's me out of this new corner for the moment. I think we're going to have a few foursomes in this corner. You've got to have a foursome in a few different locations. It breaks it up, doesn't it? Makes it a bit fun, hopefully. Anyway, that's me out now. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing your video responses. Again, post your links to your video responses in the comments below, or send me a PM, and they will always be posted onto my Facebook page, which you've got to go and vote for. Remember to do that. But for now, I'm going to chill out and have a relax, and probably have a little bit of warm milk or something. Calm down. And say, Friday Foursome, out.